Everyone thinks because you're a zombie, you don't know good coffee. Well, they're wrong. There's only one brew that gets my seal of approval. Deadly Grounds coffee is my guilty pleasure. The aroma is so intoxicating. It brings all of my neighbors out of the woodwork. Deadly Grounds coffee. Coffee to die for and zombie approved. It's good to get a little deadly. Use the front door! Oh, they're so disgusting.
The Dorkening and all affiliated shows are not intended for anyone under the age of 18. The following may contain discussions or scenes that have adult situations, graphic violence, nudity, strong sexual content, and graphic language. This show is intended for mature audiences only. Viewer discretion is advised.
Steve Van Sampson,
Curtis M. Lawson,
Paul Christian Glenn, Joshua Rex, Raz, Rob Smith.
Hello, everybody. Happy Sunday. Welcome to another episode of The Clutch of Personalities. I've got Friday here with me tonight, and Ratatosker, this one hit him kind of hard. He had to deal with reading and comic books at the same time and got a bit emotional, so he's going for the gin tonight. I'm sticking to my wine. Couldn't quite get to the bourbon, saving that up for Tuesday. But we have a wonderful guest tonight. This is Mark Pracht, and he is an actor and a playwright and a sometimes musician. So he knows how to tell stories in a lot of different ways. So we're very excited about this. So hi, Jenny. How's everything going for you tonight? Miss Friday?
Oh, I'm good. I was waving at Pyle. He had said hi.
Hi, Pyle.
And I am great. I am so happy to finally get to meet Mark Pratt. He is an awesome playwright, and he has so many amazing things that he's picked up over the years that I'm like, oh, I never thought about it that way. Now I have to go look and find out more about that. So thank you, sir.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
Welcome, Mark. How you doing?
I'm doing great. I was killing a little time before we got up here, so I watched the John Candy documentary, and so I wiped away my tears and came and logged into the show.
Oh, speaking of tears, like this is why he's drinking, is because the end of Mark of Cain was just so like, oh, and like I was like, okay, I gotta be okay. I gotta be okay for the podcast. And so it's very powerful stuff, sir.
Thanks. Thanks for having me. That particular show, there was one critic here in Chicago who called it wretchedly heartbreaking. And it's the tale of Bill Finger, the unsung co-creator of Batman for some 70 years, hidden by our favorite comic book artist Bob Kane. So, which is where you get the title.
Yeah, that was and clever title, by the way. I like that. But because I mean, yeah, he kind of threw him under the bus. Kane did that a bit as well.
Yeah, I mean, it was funny. I was having a conversation with guys. There's one of the wonderful things that's happened with working on these plays is that I've kind of gotten in touch with several other playwrights who do work in a similar vein, doing plays about, comic book creators. And there's a gentleman by the name of Lenny Schwartz who is in Rhode Island, and he had done a play about Bill Finger called The Rise of the Bat. So, and we were both talking about it one day, and it was like, yeah, it's hard not to throw Bob Kane under the bus, because Bob Kane, when you kind of take a step back, he becomes kind of a buffoonish kind of character. Yeah, I think it's amazing that he was able to keep this all secret for so long, and yet there's something false about him. I don't know. Famously, sorry, I can yabber, so stop me if I'm going too long, but there's a famous Stan Lee used to have like a comic book creator TV show that he was trying to push, and he had Bob Kane on there, and when you watch it, it's almost like Stan's trying to troll him, because he asks him to like draw Spider-Man and he can't do it. He draws just like an oval and puts two eyes and then makes like a tic-tac-toe square on it. And then Stan picks up a piece of paper and a pen and draws like this really good Popeye.
Yeah, he was really I get, the way you showed everything with like going back into his home and stuff, and oh, you're it, kid, you've got it, and the way they built him up and versus Bill Finger, like I think if he'd had a spine, he might have gotten further, but he was just so happy to have something, it seemed like, to have any sort of credit at all, that even if it wasn't like on the book, but hey, look, I'm out there. People don't know it's me, but
yeah, I think that, Bill had the thing that I always felt about Bill when I was doing my reading and research is that it seemed like he was just really excited to create, and didn't think much past it. I mean, the things that I read about that he was part of the science fiction club that would meet in the library basement every week, and he did have this kind of really awful home life with a father who had lost his job and was fairly angry about everything. And Bob had this home life that was all about how wonderful Bob was,
yeah.
The sort of secret origin of that play is that I know most people haven't seen it, but it opens with this panel at San Diego Comic-Con in 2006. And that was a real panel that I was at. I changed around some of the people involved, but it was really like, at that point, I didn't really know a lot about Bill Finger. And I went to this panel, and it was very funny how within like 10 minutes it had changed from it was the Golden Age Batman panel, and then suddenly it was the Bob Kane was kind of an asshole panel, and there was it was I can't remember who it was specifically, but he talked about going to Bob's house and his mother made them steaks, and that his mother put a steak on Bob's plate that was like twice as thick as everyone else's. And that sort of was like, well, there you go. That's the whole life. So anyway.
Yeah, oh no, you're here to jabber. That's why we have you on. It's that is our intention, is to have you tell us all your stories. Yeah, you had that in the thing, and having Steranko out there being all was super fun. I like the different outside narrators that you had come into each play and kind of be the, okay, I've got the behind the scenes. For you guys who I didn't actually put this up yet, these are the 3 different plays that we're going to be talking about tonight. They're the Four Colors plays, and each of them covers a different piece of history in the comic book world. and they're all wonderful. Each of them, we have some little clips that I will show you as well. I got to see the whole play, but you don't get to. Let's go buy it. You do that.
Yeah, that's right. You go read it.
You can read it.
Hopefully we'll get some more productions. I've had a few people reach out, but nothing concrete yet. So
You should produce them. That's right. You out there. You should get it going. There will be people. They will come. They will, because they're good.
yeah, this is what I've always said to theater folks about this, is that to this day, I mean, in the third one, we produced them over 3 years. So the first one was in 2022, second one was in 2023, third one was in 2024. And to this day, the artistic director of the theater company that put them on, by the name of Brian Pastor here in Chicago, it's City Lit Theater Company. He has subscribers and patrons come up and ask if they're going to do another one of the comic book plays. And and there are these people who are like, I didn't know anything about comic books. I didn't care about comic books. I didn't like comic books, but those plays were just really affecting, and really, I loved those people. So, and that was the best thing I could ever hear.
You captured characters so well. Like, going back in every other thing that I've seen, like in the House of Ideas with Stan Lee, it was just like, that is absolutely Stan Lee. It was,
Yeah.
And I never really seen Bob Finger because he's dead, unfortunately. Didn't see him on the scenes and stuff. But also, when you're saying with the panel at Comic-Con change, that happens so often. Like, everybody goes to a panel to see, like, oh, it's this. Actually, no, we're going to talk about something completely different, because we're all here together. We've all known each other for 30 years, or maybe not that long. But for some of them, like, those are the ones where they're just like, do you know how many times I've answered that question? Let's talk about
Right.
something interesting.
Right. Well, yeah. Or Jerry Robinson is in the midst of trying to get, full credit for co-creating the Joker, and you can just see him up there kind of seething about it. And not that, like, and I don't mean that in any sort of negative way. He deserved it. And that's when we talk about the legacy of Bob Kane, the mark of Kane. That's sort of it, is that he had this way of standing on the shoulders of other people, and the thing is like, since that show's been produced, I've heard more and more stories that seem even more ridiculous, and I don't know. I find Bob Kane fascinating in a very sort of cautionary tale kind of way. I have you ever seen his gravestone?
No, I have not.
Oh, anybody out there who wants to understand the mindset of Bob Kane, just go look up his gravestone. It is the most egotistical thing I have ever read. It's just goes on and on about how great Bob was, and how great Batman was, and how Bob Kane really was Batman. And, it is astounding. I tried to work that into the end of the play, but I just couldn't. It was too much.
Well, I know you'd worked in where they were, hey, Jar Jar, talking about how Finger was probably buried in a pauper's field, was mentioned. And I don't know the history if that's actually what happened to him or not, but I know it was a sad, young, and alone kind of things.
Yeah, it was he apparently was 3 months behind on rent, alone in his apartment, and just passed away. And at that point, he was kind of estranged from his son, that's a whole story that is it was too much for what I wanted to do, because I wanted to talk about Bill and Bob.
Yeah.
But, because Bill's only son, Freddie Finger, which delighted our director no end, um, he was gay, and then he died of AIDS. And
Oh.
so the assumption was that there were no heirs. And then it turned out that Freddie had a daughter, Athena, who is now on the convention circuit, and we see her around.
Yeah, Jar's one of the co-hosts with me on Splash Pages, and he
Mhm.
was wondering if you'd met her because he's interviewed her before.
Lenny Schwartz is good friends with her, and last year at Comic-Con, he was going to try to introduce us, but it just never happened. So I have not met her. I would love to, but I have not met her. I did not have any contact. This one thing to say about my show, my plays, is that I intentionally did not want to have any contact with anybody. They should be said to be unauthorized dramatizations of these things. Just because I wanted to make my own decisions about what I thought about what happened,
Okay.
So yeah, I have not met her. I would love to.
Well, maybe Jar can help you out.
Mm.
But yeah, I'm like, you get me speechless, and that's something that if you ask anybody, especially if I'm having some wine, is pretty hard to do, because everything that went in, like, I know about these controversies, I know about the different things that happened, but seeing them from the perspective that you put things in, and the way that they set up, that I loved the screens in the back, and it looked like panels in the Mark of Cain with the
Mhm.
way they did their background, and I loved that because different things would go up, and sometimes it was just an entire background for the show, which you guys have to check it out, as I'm saying. But they were also from the heart, but they also, like anybody we've talked to from back in the day, or if you read any of the books from back in the day, the culture, it was all very New York, very, you know, Brooklyn set, and yeah, sitting around, being in the bullpens, and then drinking and smoking, and
Mhm.
that was just like something that was life. And some of the big, like, yeah, like Stanley's kind of swaggery kind of thing, and other people having to go home. And the difference when you were showing in the convention, when I believe it was Shell, was just like, it was just a job.
Mhm.
It was just a fucking job. And there are
Yeah.
people who, he wasn't nearly as passionate about it as Bill was, obviously.
Right.
Bill was like, this is a story, and he's sitting there, oh, you guys you cry. You will cry.
Mhm.
But yeah, the difference in the way all the different creators or contributors and stuff work on projects, um, you did a really good job of getting the feel. So like you said, the people who'd never read comic books before are getting the understanding now of it being like, oh, it's not just a couple of people drawing kids' books.
Right. Yeah, I mean, to me, when we talk about like these shows have really kind of changed my way of looking at storytelling in general. Uh, in that, when I was working on these and developing them, I would do readings, and it was all through COVID and everything, and we would meet on a Zoom meeting or whatever and just read through the script, and I would take notes. And the first question I would always ask is this too inside baseball? Because as I was going through it, I was realizing, man, I have to keep those doors open so that anybody who walks into the theater, or anybody who encounters these stories, is not going to feel like you're not, I don't want to say, you're not welcome here or whatever. I wanted them to be welcomed in, but at the same time, I didn't want to talk down to them, which is why, like, I introduce a lot of names of real people, but I also
Mhm.
explain what they do, right? So that in, say, House of Ideas, when Jack Kirby, Roz Kirby is asking why can John Buscema sell his pages and Jack can't? Nobody knows, like 90% of the audience doesn't know who John Buscema is, but they'll go like, oh, that's another artist. I understand that, So,
Yeah.
and it's really exciting because you realize how fast the audience will pick up on things if you just let them do it,
Oh, real quick here, Jenny just sent me an image. I need to see if I can open it. I closed all my other stuff down, but it was a picture of it's a picture of the graveyard or the gravestone.
Bob's gravestone.
Yeah,
Oh boy.
I'll just see if I can I'll have to look it up here. Because I can't load it from where there, but
it is, I mean, for anybody, like it's just this, it's like an open book with a bat signal, and it's just this hunk of text that is so egregiously self-congratulatory. It's astounding.
Oh, it looks like she's coming back on, so I might have to download it for mine. But yeah,
I apologize.
Oh, no problem. I'm just gonna here, I can save it here and then upload it. All right, name of the folder it wants to load things into: A Long Time Ago. No, I love how computers work. Matt Krogmeyer says, tickled to be able to listen and watch Mark talk about his work.
That's another UNK graduate.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Did I know them? I didn't get to graduate, sadly.
He was in the broadcasting department. I was in the broadcasting department for about a week. So
okay.
He's a TV director in Kansas City now. So
well, hey, we're always looking for sponsors. I mean, we don't need to go that big, but Okay, so here is the. Oh, let me pull this one up real quick. I think I have a slightly clearer one.
Oh man, this thing is amazing. I mean, I should have had it. It's probably not so amazing that but
yeah, it is. That is one of the most stuck up gravestones I've ever seen.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
God bestowed a dream upon Bob Kane. Blessed with divine inspiration and a rich imagination, Bob created a legacy known as Batman. Introduced in May 1939, comic book Batman grew from a tiny acorn into an American icon, a hand of God creation. Batman and his world personify. They have a terrible font. The eternal struggle of good versus evil, with God's laws prevailing in the end. Bob Kane, Bruce Wayne, Batman, they are one and the same. Bob infused his dual identity character with his own attributes: goodness, kindness, compassion, sensitivity, generosity, intelligence, integrity, courage, purity of spirit, a love of all mankind. Batman is known as the Dark Knight, but through his deeds, he walks in the light of a higher power, as does his creator, Bob Kane, beloved husband, father, grandfather, in loving memory. Jesus Christ. That's an ego. Like,
yeah, I hate to sit here and just tell stories, but there is another. I heard this one great story where
I went there in 93. So
but apparently after Bob died, his widow came into the DC offices to talk to Paul Levitz, and she was like, well, I understand that there's this award called the Eisner Award for comic book makers, and I think maybe we should have a Bob Kane Award. And apparently Paul Levitz had to be the one to sit there and go, Mrs. Kane, no one really liked your husband very much.
Your husband was a schmuck who just signed a couple good contracts.
Yeah.
The
I mean,
only
and
people who liked him was this lawyer.
and the thing is, I don't like, the one thing about these shows, and something that I really try to do, is I didn't want to just make it like, Bob was sort of the worst case scenario in terms of like making somebody into a pure villain, because I think what he did to Bill was unconscionable. But he was a smart man, and he was able, like, one of the things you have to give Bob Kane is that he walked into National Comics, DC now, and made this deal, and somehow got his name on that comic, got at least a little piece of it in perpetuity. I mean, and like, Siegel and Schuster didn't get that. No one got that except for Bob Kane. And what is dismaying is that you have somebody who is actually kind of the poster child for creator rights, at least at that period, who did so on the back of dozens of other artists who, because, there's some people who say that Bob never drew anything, that like not even Detective Comics 27 is actually drawn by Bob Kane. But I tend to think that that's probably not true, because there's so much of Detective 27, of that first story, that is traced from like Flash Gordon comic strips and things, that I have to think that he probably sat down and did it himself. But very quickly, he had Shelley Moldoff signed up to do the artwork, and he had Bill writing the stories, and there was a couple other writers working on it as well. But he made that deal, and no one else had that deal. Nobody. Like, and you got to give him some credit for that.
Oh yeah. I'm gonna pull up. We have a comment real quick while we're here. Mark and I used to have many conversations like this years ago. I'm happy to see that you were able to combine your love of comics and the theater. Yes.
That's another UNK graduate.
Nice to meet you. I don't know if we've met or not. I was there for a semester. We won't talk about why I left, because that would be an entirely different show. But I don't even know if you know that, but we'll catch it later. But yeah, go on.
No, yeah, these things are the whole thing is that the other thing, when you're talking about specifically the Mark of Cain, is that I don't think anybody thought any of these things were going to last more than maybe 2-3 years.
Yeah.
So what was the idea of like, I want part of the royalties in perpetuity, seems kind of ridiculous. There was no reason to think, you had Superman, of course, which was a huge hit. You had Captain Marvel, which is a huge hit. You had a bunch of other stuff that was just sort of limping along. But there was no reason to think of these things as being the foundation of a media empire.
Yeah.
And those things are like, it's something to say that you had enough foresight to actually get those rights. So anyway.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree. It's something where, and I'm going to swing us slightly off topic right now. But it's deals like that, and this big gap into what we have now, where it's all work for hire. And there are so many new studios that are opening up that are all for creator-owned properties, so that they get the credit for everything that they've done. And I think that's so important, in my opinion, that everybody get recognized for what they do. It's hey Stefan, publisher. But it really is just, that's not available to a lot of people. People don't, Howard Chaykin. Speak of panels gone awry, there was 2 years ago at Terrificon, he was there, and it was him and Monty Keene, two of the three famous Brooklyn boys, as a trio anyway, and Dean was sitting in the audience. So he was part of a panel. It just kind of rebounded back off of Mr. Haspiel back there. And but it went from being like old school versus new school was the idea behind the panel to Howard explaining how or questioning and then getting into how he worries that anybody trying to get into comics today will not be able to live on the money that you make from comics because you just can't. And then Marty being like, hey, I did it all myself. I built myself up and now I'm living on comics, and other people are doing the kickstarting and stuff. And they aren't millionaires, but they're living, and getting by. And should somebody opt to pick something up and do a movie or whatever by it, it's theirs and it's absolutely theirs. But yeah, that's something that's really difficult to deal with because people think oh, look, his name was at the end of the Superman movie. And it's and that's all he got and a ticket to go.
Yeah. No, I think that, I think as a creator right now, there's a whole load of things that are hard for me. I worry about. I worry about the AI thing. I worry about, you mentioned that I write music. I do write music. I'm not super serious about it. It's sort of just a serious hobby, but I put it out. I have a web page for it. I have, I sell art, I sell the music and stuff, but recorded music, I'm not going out and playing live. I'm not touring. And, I've watched bands from the 90s that I remember going to see, what's her name from L7? Anyway, but she was playing at the Double Door here in Chicago, and they were begging for gas money from the stage, Wow. And that's just because, music as a recorded commodity is just not valuable anymore, It's you're stuck in the streaming market that pays jack and shit,
Yeah. You
I
keep it on,
seriously
Stefan. You get an OnlyFans page and you can turn that into something. That's what let's see do with that.
I don't think I want to tell people I have an OnlyFans page. I think people get the wrong idea about that. So
one of my friends had a brilliant idea for an OnlyFans page. It's an OnlyFans page for creators, and all you if you pay, he'll be laying in bed and he'll just reach out and give you a fake hug and be like, "You're okay. It's gonna be okay. You're a good person. You're good at what you do. You're just having a bad day. It'll be okay." And I'm like, I would pay money to have somebody do that. I would pay good money to have somebody just come give me a hug at times. Somebody that's not like your mom to just give you that okay, it's okay.
Yeah,
but
it's
we're kind of going way off, but yeah, please continue.
Yeah.
It's what we do.
I don't have a ton of I worry about it. I worry about it because it feels like the options, there's too much co-opting of other people's material. I get really nervous when I go to a comic book fan message board and I see all this AI stuff being, generated and shared and stuff. And I always think it's not helping anybody, but
yeah,
what are you going to do? But yeah, no, I think, the Kickstarter model, 100%. I believe that truly. The Kickstarter model, I've been thinking about trying to do some stuff with that. I've been thinking about trying to do some. I did have for a very brief time. A friend of mine and I were trying to start a comic book uh, that I might try to revive now. But also Kickstarter. Thinking about doing Kickstarter for maybe trying to mount. There's some options about trying to remount the shows in other areas. But that comes down to cashola, and we'll see. It's just thoughts.
Well, having
Um,
an already finished product, though, when you're going in is always the best way to start a Kickstarter, because
yeah.
I do have segment on Splash Pages, which I'm going to try to get you on as well for the comic book side of everything. And
Mhm.
I fund like I should not have. I'm lucky that I have rent is kind of the
Mhm.
thing, because I'm on disability, and so I'm like, oh, shouldn't I? Oh, but but it's so and so, and they're selling this too. I mean, I got to get that add-on, and then
Mhm.
wait, this one has like 15 stretch goals reached that I get if I just get. Well, I don't even read that comic, but I need to
Right.
get that. But I know people who do just a ton of it. There's this gal, Carissa, who has done back to back to back to back, and she's gotten funded every time. She's one of the people who does the add-ons like crazy thing.
Mhm.
Like she literally, there was one of them before, and this was the first time she broke Kickstarter. It got to where she had so many add-ons, you couldn't see some of them unless you went to add them on. She had over
Right.
100 add-ons. And like she has plushies and pins and stickers and magnets and metal covers and metal cards. And I was just like, oh, yes, Carissa rocks. We love her.
Yes.
But she's
I
good
mean,
at like explaining how to do it too and getting other people. But some
but
people
I
do the bare bones.
yeah,
Please.
it's funny. A friend of mine here in town likes to give me kind of a hard time for the amount of like basically all I use social media for really is bad jokes and promotional stuff and trying to keep myself honest with my workouts. That's basically all I do. And this friend of mine likes to make the joke that you can't spell prot without PR, and I'm like, I'm not going to apologize for that. Like I'll keep putting stuff out there. Who knows who's going to see it? Somebody might, and like every time I sell one of those, like that's one thing to let everybody know. Like all three of these plays have been published, so they're
Mhm.
all available from Sordelay Inc., which is the name of it's a very small publishing house here in Chicago. If you want information, you can go to my website, which is mark-prot.com, and there's links there if you want to purchase the plays.
That should be linked in
But
our show notes, either up above or down
awesome.
below, wherever you're looking. And yeah, and you can see little clips of the plays.
Yep.
And but
I've got
every
my,
time you.
go ahead.
No, I keep talking over you because I do that.
That's okay. I don't really have a lot to, we have, yeah, I have little trailers for each one of the shows that have like the reviews and stuff. And, I uh, also sent you some little edited clips of scenes. Maybe we could play one of those one now?
I
Maybe?
Okay, I can play the clips from your website. The ones that you sent me I can't get my laptop to work with StreamYard
Oh, okay.
for it.
Okay.
But if it's okay, we can do one of the 2-minute clips from. I can do like the Mark of Cain one right now.
Let me
That's.
see. Maybe I can do it. Hold on. I can.
Oh, you might be able. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Hold on.
Okay.
Let me see.
And
Uh,
Stefan plans on adapting some anthologies for graphic. Nice. Let me know, Stefan. I got some fabulous artists that I can put you in touch with as far as that stuff goes.
okay, let me see if I can do this.
All right. I will let you know if it is working.
Maybe it's got to upload. I don't know.
Let me drop mine out and add this to the stage.
Oh, there it is.
Okay.
Biggest thing I ever got my hooks in. Vince Sullivan over at National wants another Superman.
The costume fad?
Fad schmad. This is National. This is where the money is. Superman helped put them on top and they want to stay there. And I got the guy.
You got the guy.
You bet I do. As soon as Sullivan said Superman, my brain started turning. What do kids love about Superman? Huh? Come on!
Well, that's a pretty broad field. At a guess, I think it's the idea that this milquetoast guy secretly has all this power.
Sure.
It lets kids who feel helpless, bullied, think maybe they're a hero in waiting.
Come on, Bill.
Okay. Why don't you just show me what you want me to say to you?
He flies!
Flying, okay. Is that your whole revelation?
Sure, what else is there?
Well, he's also bulletproof. He's super strong.
Kids love the flying!
You know, he actually doesn't fly.
Are you trying to be a wise guy?
He jumps.
What?
Leap tall buildings in a single bound.
It looks like he's flying.
Okay, so your guy flies.
Exactly.
Is that the entirety of your concept?
What do you mean?
Well, he flies is a pretty generic power set.
Well, of course there's more than that. He flies around. And he stops crime.
You've really thought this out.
As I told you, as soon as I heard Superman, I immediately thought about this flying gimmick. Have you ever seen Leonardo's design for a flying machine?
Of course.
Remember that your bird should have no other model than that of a bat.
Right.
A Batman.
Okay, I'm with you. See, that is a gimmick that we can work with.
So I give you Batman. Well, what do you think?
That's all wrong.
You mean this is my Superman?
No. Bob, the bright red suit, the blonde hair, that unwieldy cape thing, or whatever that is, Bob, that's wrong.
You're just jealous.
No, you are onto something. When you said Batman, that was great. Maybe I've been reading too much of The Shadow, but that set me off.
How so?
Do you remember the movie The Bat Whispers?
Yeah, Chester Morris.
Exactly, that's the one. The villain wore a costume, a mask anyway, with a cape.
Yeah, it was creepy.
It's unsettling.
It was mysterioso.
He could flare it out, looked a little like wings.
Bat wings.
Cooking with gas. What if we took it further?
Keep talking.
A big black cape, scallop, just like the one you have, but cloth. I see what you're going for there, but that'd be like carrying around a kite.
It's how he flies.
I get it, Bob, but it's ridiculous. It can be like actual wings when we want the visual, and then just a cape otherwise. The red has to go.
But Superman.
Bob, you and I could make a total Superman clone easy, and Sullivan would be happy as a clam. The thing is, it'd go 2 or 3 issues and disappear. We need our own solid gimmick. The red suit has to go. Superman is Superman. We need a guy who's singular. The same realm, but totally different.
Set it apart.
Right. Superman is big and bright, launching himself through the air. Batman, no. The Batman.
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah, kind of sounds like a creature of the night, maybe a little bit scary.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Like Dracula.
Kids love vampires.
Would a vampire be caught dead in a red suit? I say gray and blue. Now this mask.
What's wrong with the mask?
Well, we want some mystery, right?
Right.
What's mysterious about a blonde guy in a domino mask? It's Batman.
Well, when he's flying, his hair can be fluttering.
Bob, can we table the flying?
Bats fly! He's Batman!
So make him look like a bat! Ooh. Full cowl. Ears. No eyes, just white slits. Is he even human? Who knows?
Hey, there you go.
That was great.
Wow.
I just love that so much. I'm gonna have to like send letters to the company that did it because I want to like give my version of applause, to all of the actors and actresses who put it together for you because it incredible writing. But you had some great people that were
Right.
representing your plays that were putting them on.
That was Josh Zagorin as Bob Kane, who some of your viewers might be familiar with him as Chad the Bird. He's fairly popular as an internet personality. And then Todd Wojcik was playing Bill Finger. Todd and I have been in a couple of shows together, so he graciously agreed to play Mr. Finger.
Well,
So-
Todd made me cry. So So yay for that.
That's the, you know, I don't want to give away the ending just in case people will be able to see it someday. But I was very proud of the end.
Well, I mean, Todd made me cry through you, obviously.
Oh yeah. Well, yeah, but no, I mean, it was that it was just, well, heck, I'll just talk about it. Like, it was one of the very, very last things that I wrote for the show, and it was something that came very, very late. We were almost ready to start production when I realized that I did not have a death scene. And the death scene in basically is just a journey through his love of comic books and pulp fiction and all of these things that made up Batman. And I am very proud of that. And Todd was amazing. So
Yeah, I don't want to give away things either, but the good use was made of the panel screens that were behind. And the history of things, and it was just so effective in the way that it was delivered and the way it was just portrayed as going on behind him, and just beautiful.
Yeah.
Jenny lost her internet, so she's hopping on to chat with us here. Best of anything she has seen on comics.
Well, thank you very much. I you know, like the projections, it's something I arrived at pretty early on when I was working on the script, because I thought, you know, comics are a visual medium, so I needed to convey that in some way. And what was really exciting over the, 2 years, 3 years we were working on these shows and putting them up, is that as the shows progressed, Mark of Cain has, I was really loved those projections, but I began to realize like how much more we could do. And as the shows progressed, we did more and more with the projections to facilitate the storytelling. And I think that, like, once you get to House of Ideas and Stan and Jack, we really were going all out. So I was really proud of it. And in fact, our projection designer for House of Ideas, who was the projection designer for the entire series, also was the set designer for the entire series and the lighting designer for the entire series. He actually was nominated for a Jeff Award, which is our local theater, the Chicago Theater Awards, for his projection design.
It was awesome. I also got a lot of kicks out of that. Like, and we're this. The company keeps changing names every month, and just things keep switching around. And yeah, it was. Each of them had their own thing. The way that in the I'm not gonna be able to speak, in Innocence of Seduction, when you're bringing in, and that one is about the
1950s comic scare and the juvenile delinquency scare, and the
this is
DC
it the
Comics.
CCCA, or how the comic book
the Comics Code Authority, the CCA.
Code, CCA. Okay. I always want to call it the CDC, and I'm like, that is not right. But going through, but something that I learned very well from that is that Bill Gaines is very weird. I'm just like watching this play, and they're just like, Bill, he's weird. Yeah, oh no, he is. He's really weird. And then it starts going, and those EC guys, all of it really weird. They're just very weird. And then from the outside, comic book people, they are so weird. Yes. And it's like, well, yes, I'm proud of that.
One of the things that in a very real sense, the Innocence of Seduction and that story is what really inspired all of this, because many years ago I had read a book called The 10-Cent Plague by David Hodju, which is it's a nonfiction account of this period, and it's an excellent book. Everybody should read it. I mined so much research out of it, and it will also introduce me to two of the important characters in Innocence of Seduction, which is Matt Baker, who has become sort of well known in recent years. He was a 1950s sort of good girl artist, I guess, who was Black and reportedly gay. I say reportedly because he passed away in like 1958, so he never was able to say one way or another, but there's reports from several people concurrently who knew him who said he was. And Janice Valu, who was a comic book artist who worked on oh god, the name escapes me now. It was a female detective strip. It was in Old King Cole comics. God, what was the name of the character? It's escaping me. I apologize. But
if Drew is here, he would know. It goes in and out. That's my, like, if I know the person and I've talked directly to them about a book, I remember it. Otherwise, I'm like, that one. You know what? We need John here. Is what we need. John Sanders just be like typing in the comments, like, oh, you're talking about this person. They did this. You know.
But one of the more exciting things that happened was during the run of that show, Megan Clark, who was playing Janice in the show, she got a direct message on Facebook from Janice Valu's son.
Oh, wow.
And said, "You're playing my mother." And she spoke with him a couple of times. I don't think it went any further than that. But my whole kind of idea on that show was that you had this terrible thing happening, and you have Bill Gaines, who has the wherewithal to actually try to stand up to what's going on and try to make a difference, and is really not the best person to do so.
Yeah.
And then you have Matt and Janice, who are people who have no power to affect what's happening, who they suffer the worst results of it. You know, Matt ends up dead. Janice, you know, Matt had a heart attack. I don't want to say he was killed by anybody or anything like that, but he did end up like drawing bowling instruction pamphlets and things like that. And Janice was so terrified by what was going on that she actually left the business.
Yeah, she didn't really have any familial support or any support outside. That was a really tough time in comics, and you did portray that really well, because people, if you don't mind if I say just a couple of things, they were calling not just any, obviously he was gay and was called a pervert, but but they were calling anybody who worked in comics. They were just like they were a perversion, because comic books quit being just like the Sunday funnies for kids. They had horror stuff out there. They had people drawing boobs and stuff, and it was just like, you're destroying our youth. Everything is horrible, and you're just, you know, it was like satanic panic earlier in, you know,
100%,
is what it was.
yeah.
And,
no, I
and
think
people were just attacked. Yes.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean, there were book burnings. There were, you know, we relate that in the play that, you know, the industry was scared as hell, and it's very complicated. I was actually talking to Jeff Trexler from the Comic Book Legal Defense Fund. He actually came and saw the show and did a talk back afterwards. So that was very exciting to have him there. But we were talking about it, and just that the idea that people became so terrified of the idea that comics were evolving. I always sort of wonder if this all hadn't happened, if EC had continued to evolve, because EC had the horror comics and the crime comics, but they also had these great war books, and it was just more adult storytelling,
Mm-hmm.
And if that hadn't been quashed, because when the Comics Code Authority was started, and the Comics Code was there, boobs.
Thanks, Stefan.
Stefan, yes, boobs. But when the code was essentially set up to put EC out of business,
Yeah.
when you go look at it line by line, it is designed to make it impossible for Bill Gaines to continue publishing books the way he had been publishing books. Down to you couldn't have the word terror in the title of a comic book. So Crypt of Terror, gone, so.
And they seem to be evolving rules too. Like as soon as he did something else, they're like, oh, actually you can't do that either. It wasn't written down until this minute, but now it is, so you can't.
Well, and when you extrapolate further, it after all of this kind of died down, and this isn't in the show, but this is like after it died down, the code continued to try to operate in this kind of draconian manner, and the industry kind of started to be like, I think we need to loosen this up. So the code was revised in I think it was 59, and then again in 74, and then again in the 80s, and then of course now it's sort of defunct. But you could always tell. The 74 change is the one that I've always been really fascinated by, because it was when they said, okay, you can have vampires, werewolves, and the Frankenstein monsters of a literary bent. And immediately that's when Marvel started doing Werewolf by Night and the Dracula book and the Frankenstein Walks, or whatever the hell that name of that book was. And I think that's fascinating. But I have another clip from Innocence if you would like to watch that one.
Yes, please.
Okay. All right. Hold on. Let me get it.
Yeah, you guys see some of this, and it's the plays are just so, and you can buy them, like he was saying. I happen to own them. I haven't read through all of them because I wanted to watch them first, and then go through and do a read and watch.
Well,
when I have more time. So
I thank you for purchasing the books.
you are more than welcome, sir. They were naming my comic section Terror Nights. Well, you can do that now, Stefan. You couldn't do that back in the day. They would have said no, and then they would have made fun of you somehow, and maybe tied you up in a closet for a while. All right.
Yeah, I think it's uploading. There it is.
Okay. So it gets up here. There we go.
I received letters and inquiries from all over the country with a similar refrain. We who care about such things feel so helpless. Who thinks these comic books are good? And the answer is, of course, simple. The comic book industry. There was the possibility that the publishers might set right their own house. Can we trust the hand that's in the cookie jar? Are you ready to knock it off?
Mr. Gaines was trying to defend our industry.
And managed to nail the coffin shut.
Look. What happened, happened. What the hell were you on?
It was a sugar crash. You have got to be kidding me.
You wouldn't believe how many Cokes he drank.
Even I'm not going to believe he was under the influence of soda pop.
Look, I'm sorry I didn't come off as well as I wanted. Oh, what were you going for, Richard Houtman?
But we can't just lie down and let them bury us. We just need the political clout to push back against Wortham and Kefauver and the rest of those bastards.
They're not going to leave us alone unless we crack down ourselves.
They're already moving in Houston and Oklahoma City to ban us legally.
It'll never stand up in court. If we get our own legal team.
Good God, Bill! Have you seen the burnings?
What are you talking about?
You're joking. I tried to warn you on the way over.
I told you not to let him stop for that sandwich.
He said he was hungry.
He doesn't hear anything if he's eating.
All of our budget meetings over lunch.
Yeah, I know. I've been trying to wave you off those for the last year and a half now. You're not the best listener either. What the hell is he talking about?
We're burning comics, Bill.
What? The government? People, Bill, parents, teachers, churches.
Kids, Gaines! Kids are burning our comics.
That's insane.
Yeah, a lot of that going on.
2,000 books in Binghamton.
A goddamn Girl Scout troop in Missouri. They had a trial. The flames were 25 feet high.
And you went in there and you damn near passed out in front of a presidential candidate.
He hasn't announced.
Likely presidential candidate?
All of this just shows that we need to stand together.
What we need to do is rein it in.
What does that mean?
We need to get things under control.
What do you mean under control?
I think, look, I'll let Judge Murphy explain.
Who?
Mr. Gaines, my name is Judge Charles Murphy. Mr. Goldwater, St. John, Arnold, and myself, as well as most of the rest of the major publishers, have been discussing how to rectify the fallout from this recent public outcry, as well as, it goes without saying, your testimony.
Wait, so you've been talking behind my
I'm
back?
speaking.
The best option is for the industry, you gentlemen, to regulate yourselves, rather than some outside force motivated by public overreaction.
And all of you aren't motivated by public overreaction?
They haven't even suggested legislation.
Gentlemen, I can guarantee the senators are considering this.
The way that bastard Kefauver wants to be president, I wouldn't put it past him.
The judge and I have a plan.
A regulatory organization for the industry. I suggest the Comics Code Authority.
And who is the authority?
We hired Judge Murphy. He is going to administrate.
This guy?
That was great. Couple comments real quick. Matt still needs to buy book 2.
What are you waiting for, Matt?
Come on, Matt, give us a picture. Jeez. Jenny, can't wait to see what you have. And Stefan, where do you watch us? Well, I was privileged because I got an insider look, but you could produce it around you. You can buy the books and you can read them.
Yeah, I have to say that these video clips are all from the archive videos of the shows that were taken. Those are technically owned by the theater company. Also, I cannot release them publicly because if I do, any revenue that might be generated, I would have to I want to make sure that my actors get paid and the theater company would be paid. So that's a real complicated situation as far as releasing them online. And generally speaking, they are archive videos and not, I mean, and Carrie's seen them. They're they're pretty simple, They're good for an archive video, but not, I don't know.
It's not a movie. It's not from all the different angles and stuff, but but you have to, hasn't bothered you because he hasn't finished reading book 1. Come on, dude. I knock out like 200 pages a day. I mean, really.
Matt's busy. Matt's busy. He's a very important person. He's running a TV network, right?
Okay.
Or a TV station.
All right. I suppose that counts. I get teased a lot because I read oh God, and Jar, I'm not gonna remember it. You're gonna have to help me. Or you probably know. what is the series with all of the DC characters where they're horrible people and they like Superman is evil and they like he and Wonder Woman are like, we will take care of all of the humans because we are better than they are and we'll do this, and it goes on and on and on. It's 172 issues worth of that happening.
Oh, is that
And
this?
yes, thank you.
Yeah.
We had a show on Splash Pages where we were going to do the last final segment, which was like a 6-issue crossover with the Masters of the Universe. And they were like, yes, we're doing this next week. And I was like, oh, well, okay. Well, I don't know what Injustice is about, though, so I'm going to have to read it. And they're like, you aren't going to read the entire Injustice series by next Tuesday. And I'm like, oh, bet. And I got like 172 comics down in 3 days. I read the entire. Thank God for comics online, but
more impressive is you got through that many issues of Injustice.
yeah, that was something. We don't even want to talk about the first Ultimate Universe, and everybody has their feelings on Ultimatum and other things, and we'll go through that. But yeah, no, I got through that in like 2 weeks, but because that one I had to work for. I also plan on getting through. I'm going to try to get the entire Claremont's runs of X-Men at some point, and people are like, you won't. It's like trying to talk to him. You say hi and he tells you like 4 hours worth of exposition on like something you didn't even ask, and like you think Alan Moore is talkative. Go ahead and read some Chris Claremont X-Men. And I'm like, I can do it, maybe. I don't know. You're scaring me now.
Well, see, I'm helping you prepare for this because I'll just start battling. I did want to say in that last clip, Dr. Frederick Wortham was played by Frank Nall, who is a venerable Chicago actor. Almost all of Wortham's dialogue in that show is directly from The Seduction of the Innocent or one of his other interviews or papers. So every crazy thing he says in that play is pretty much from there. My dear friend, one of my best friends in the world, Sean Harkleroad, played Bill Gaines. Zach Cundy played Lyle Stewart. He was on the looking at the screen. He was on the left-hand side of Bill. Charlie Diaz played the great Al Feldstein, the great headlight artist. Speaking of boobs, he was on the left side. Also, it was Paul Chakrin was one of the other two publishers, and Robin Trevino they were the two guys on the other side. I'm not going to go through all the character names. And Chuck Monroe played Judge Charles F. Murphy, the head of the Comics Code Authority, who actually was one of my favorite characters to write.
Judge. That when he first did that, it gave me a flash to this probably isn't what you were looking for at all, but it made me think of Young Frankenstein when it was Frau Blur, and like I got the judge. It's just like the jar there.
Yeah, Innocence of Seduction is sort of my screwball comedy kind of, even though it's probably in a lot of ways the most serious of the three. I really wanted to have that sort of, EC Comics always had that sort of goofiness to it. Part of the show is that Bill is haunted by the ghost of his father, who was killed in a bizarre boating accident, which is 100% true. Obviously, the costume that we had, our costume designer designed this incredible like zombie suit, and he actually had a boat propeller sticking out of his chest. It was my favorite thing, and I actually directed that show as well as writing that one. So
it was so fun. Everybody's a weirdo. It keeps getting, and I'm like, but they were. I mean, like I'm a comic book fan, and nobody else in my family really reads comics. A lot of my friends don't. but like that's why I've made my new family because and we're all a bunch of fucking weirdos. Like the things that we worry about and think about, like we have normal things too, like paying
Sure.
rent and stuff. But like the second something goes like he who shall not be named that cannot draw feet has started his new comic book line where you have to like pay extra money to get anything released by him now.
Shit.
And
Yeah.
it's like, well, I mean, like, I'm not gonna be the guy who's like, oh, you're this total, like go off on like he has his moments. He did his things. He did some good things. He did some not so good things. So let him be. I have a friend who is permanently banned from every single form of social media that he is on. As soon as he creates it, he finds him and I have two friends now who are permanently banned from all of his social media, and it's crazy.
Yeah.
I'm like, do you really hate him that much? And I'm like, I mean, like, I just like the man, but I just let it be. I let him exist over
I
there. But
I don't really have any problem with him. It's just that there was a period where I felt like he was just trying to say stuff to make people upset. And that it struck me as being very much in the realm of the other he who shall not be named, And I think that I just and one day I was just like, do you just like want people to hate you? I mean, I was just like, I am not going to deal with this anymore. And he blocked me. It was crazy. So
yeah,
I don't, it's like I said, like all of my social media is basically just about promotion or jokes or nerdy crap that I find that I think is funny. I don't discuss anything important, but I cannot fathom that. I cannot fathom just living, I just like just going for shock value, just going to try to generate more people to look at you. I just can't.
Mm-hmm.
Although I guess I can fathom that. That's why you do PR. But I mean, I don't know. There's just it's something gross about it to me. I don't know.
Yeah. I have I have Instagram and TikTok, which I have never posted on anything at all. I have them so I can look at other people's things. And I have like followers in the double digits, like medium double digits. And I'm like, why are you following me? I don't even know how, like I tried to post on Instagram the other day and I don't know how.
Yeah.
Like that sounds stupid, but seriously, I couldn't because it was like, oh, do you want to do a picture? Or do you want to do a post? Do you want to do this? And I'm like, where do I just click and start writing? I don't know. So, yes, make fun of me if you want, guys, but
got a picture.
I can do Facebook. I can do YouTube. I'm on Blue Sky. I post every now and then because I could Twitter. Although, like, my Twitter account subsisted of like 15 reposts of Anonymous back in the day when they were still actively doing things, and then like 3 or 4 reposts of a couple other people that I can't talk about because they're politically controversial at the moment. And but they were comic book or authors, one or the other, and it seems like everybody that's involved in that now, I'm like, why did you have to go and become a dick? But books, films, comics, and music are more important than politics. Yes, and that's what we do. I post all of my links. I post up stuff for people's books. I unfortunately lost an 11-year-long Facebook account, and they didn't tell me why. And I never posted anything about politics or violence, well, unless it was like with a book. But but they told me I was suspended. They never told me why. I spent a year trying to get it back, never got it back. So I had to build back up again. And this time, somehow I'm a company instead of an entity or a person. And I pretty much everybody that's on my feed now, like I have my friends, my family, a couple of friends, but most of my friends are industry people now. So it's like 90% industry. So like it's okay that I post up just mostly publicity things for different shows and different people's Kickstarters and stuff like that. But like I'm sad that I missed all the other stuff, but at the same time, it's just like it is so exhausting to try to do
Well,
anything on social media.
it's not really healthy to like, look, I get angry about things just like everyone else, right? I have my feelings about political things. I have my, I get very angry about certain things. But the thing is like I often I see no I hate talking about this stuff. I see no reason to, for the most part, everyone that I'm talking to on some sort of social media pretty much agrees with me. So what's the point? You know, I don't like yelling into an echo chamber. That's my feeling about it. So I mean, I don't that's why I keep this sort of hard line between I'm going to post the little trailers for my plays and I'm going to do, the things that help me do more with my life and more with my creativity. Otherwise, I don't really see much use for it.
Well,
Occasionally from occasional self-pitying posts that I do,
Oh, and happy birthdays. I like to make people birthday signs if
Oh
I
yeah.
am able to. Like that's real. Because my birthday's on Halloween, and so I like to.
Happy upcoming birthday.
Oh, thank you. And I'm a huge horror fan, obviously. So like I make like Cthulhu horror, Hellraiser horror, different kinds of horror posts for a lot of people. And some people, if I know them specifically, I'll do like my one aunt is a big Hallmark fan, and so I'll try to make something super goofy, like, oh, the Hallmark birthday special, or but I don't have time for everybody. So it's not somebody that doesn't actually know me. If it's just like random author here that I am friends of a friends of a friends of, they get
Right.
a have a wonderful birthday or something. But those are like the extent of my social media usage. But as we're talking about social media, and you said it was for PR, let's flip the PR, roll around, and hop onto Stan Lee,
Okay.
and we'll go to the third one. Well, is it the
Awesome.
third, or is it the House of Ideas is
Yeah,
the
yes.
third final one, right? Or
Yeah, well, it's the third one. It's
okay.
I'm not prepared to say anything specifically, but it is likely there's going to be another comic book play. So that's why I'm now calling them the Four-Color plays instead of the Four-Color Trilogy. But that's at least probably 2 years off.
Okay.
But yes.
Hey, so yeah, so let's hop into Stan Lee and Jack Kirby, and thought I hated how only because I get older. That's why. We aren't talking about this. My mom's like, "Oh, we're gonna go do like we're having to have big celebrations this year," and I'm like, "I'm gonna sit at home and watch The Exorcist 3, two different versions of it, like I've been doing. That's all I do. I'm just like Brad Dourif. I love you, and that's it. Like I don't know. That's the one man. If I could like have to come over and give me a hug on my birthday, it would be him. I mean, I don't know. I get those blue eyes. They just pop, you know. And his acting is great. And actually, real quick before we go into this, just because I happened to mention Brad Dourif and I didn't mean to, you and he have something in common. You both played the same character in One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest because he was Randy Quedlinburg. Or no, wait, no, he was Billy Bibbit.
He was Billy
I'm wrong.
Bibbit.
You were both in One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest.
Yes.
He got into the movie because he was doing it on Broadway, and
Yes.
like that's what got him his first nomination and his first position as a major actor. Sorry.
Yep. Yeah,
But
no,
when I
no.
saw that when you were like McMurphy, I was just like, oh my God, I wish I had seen that show. I've been on stage with this man. He's ornery, but he's a really good actor. So
Yeah,
I wish I could have seen that.
it was like yeah, it was one of the 2 or 3 highest points in my life as an actor. Yeah. It was, although it was funny because I would be going to my day job and there'd be all these people like, "Oh, really? You playing Jack Nicholson?" Yeah. No, I'm not playing Jack Nicholson, but yeah, it was that character. So it was an amazing experience. I still have friends from that show, and I am very, very happy about it. So
When it came to lifting up the sink? Did you try? Damn it! Did you at least try?
I didn't have to do that. That's the chief. So
Well, there's
he's.
the scene where he tries and he can't. He's just.
Oh yeah, I do.
I
Yeah, I do.
tried.
They had a. They yeah. Yes. You're reminding me. It's been like 15 years, Gary.
It's Brad Dourif. I know every line of everything that
Yeah.
he's ever been in, sadly, in some cases. But and Matt says that you were practically the star of Chicago Fire, as he recalls.
Yeah, I was on one episode of Chicago Fire called What Happened to oh God, it was season what happened to Courtney? What happened to Courtney? And I had snapped my niece's neck and shoved her body down a chimney. And then I got to have a big old fight with Officer Severide. So we destroyed a house. It was an experience. I was sort of told, I was sort of like, it was sort of left like, I have no idea. I have no idea why I killed the kid. I have no idea that at that time they were also doing Chicago Justice. And there was some talk that they might bring my character back on Chicago Justice for the trial. So we would find out why this all happened. And then Chicago Justice got canceled. And that was the end. So, but if you go look up Chicago Fire, What Happened to Courtney, you will see like the last 10 minutes is a big old throwdown between me and the lead actor. So.
Sounds like I killed Stefan in a similar fashion in a story. He went chasing. He was dressed up in a Santa Claus suit and went. It was like my version of the little match girl that was horribly evil, and he tried to chase this girl up his chimney, and she killed him, and he fell down and broke his neck on the way down. And there's a club about people who've killed Stefan, and so we just all try to do it in more and more interesting ways. It's fun. But
that is an interesting club.
We have this group and everything.
This is your friend? No.
Yeah, friend and publisher.
There you go.
Stefan, how many people you've been killed like over 40 times, I think. I know I've killed you 3 times. But the only thing that I've actually seen you in was a farming commercial way back in the day.
Oh my
like,
God.
I'm pretty sure it was in Nebraska because like I said, I'm like, Spark.
It played that was when I was living up here and I got that gig and they sent us down. We were somewhere in the middle of Iowa and we filmed it. And about 3 months later, I started getting all of these like Facebook messages and stuff from people, and they were like, "I just saw you on the TV," and I'm like, "Yeah, that's me." Channel Seedsman. That's.
Is that what it was? I'm like, he's a farmer, and you have the farmer build, so I come from a long line of farmers. Is how I know this. So, it worked out really well.
I've been working on that, but it was about 2019. I did a show called Requiem for a Heavyweight, and I actually got into like boxing shape. I dropped 60 pounds, and that's the show where I won the award for best performance in a principal role. So
very nice.
So anyway,
congratulations. You got to give me some tips because I need to lose at least that. Yeah, I'm getting old and things are cracking and popping when I move. And they're like, yeah, how about you just try moving your leg a little bit each day? And eventually you can start walking or something.
Yeah, I will say that at this point, I'm solidly in my mid-50s and hanging on by my fingertips with my fitness right now. So
Sir, you are looking quite good. So,
Well, thank you. Speaking of looking good, I think we should go see Stan Lee now.
yes, I think we absolutely should talk about Stan Lee. So we're going to give you guys a clip here first this time, and then we'll talk about it a bit because this one was really fun too. I really enjoyed it.
Here we are, the very first in-person gathering of the Merry Marvel Marchers, the assembled army of Marvel. Welcome all. And if you like this sensational soiree, we'll keep having it. As long as you keep buying tickets, that is. And let me tell you, friends, I hope you picked up my latest opus, Origins of Marvel Comics. The real, uncensored truth on how your old pal Stan created Marvel Comics. It's dynamite, page after page of behind-the-scenes bombshells, and every word is true. I ought to know. I wrote it. And here's a little scoop for you all. There's not just one sequel on the way, but two. But you know, true believers, I have to admit, as much as I love to take credit, slap my name on everything, I couldn't have done it without one tremendously talented man. And all you fans here, you lucky dogs, are in store for a real treat. But this news is too big to hold off another minute. Jolly Jack Kirby is back! The king is back! That's right, old King Kirby has returned to the bosom of the blushing bullpen. And don't you forget, it was at Marvel where that title was bestowed.
That's what you tell me.
This is where his heart is. This is where it all started. And this is where one of the greatest talents in comics belongs.
I'm happy to be back, Stanley.
After all these years, Jackson, you of all people can call me Stan. Well, I know you're all just dying to know what the king will be working on. There will be a new series about the gods that walk among us.
I call it The Eternals.
But better than that, he'll be the driving force behind the one and only Captain America, returning to the character he created back in 1941. Say a few words, Jack.
Whatever I do with Marvel, I can assure you it will electrocute you in the mind.
Electrify, Jack! Electrify.
Ross, I just love your dress. Where on earth did you get something so unique?
Well, this whole thing? Gee, I don't know, Joan. Serious?
Serious? Really?
Yes, I think so.
Well, this is Miss Somi, Neiman Marcus. Just do some shopping while you're here. The boys will have work.
I think I'd rather just stay with Jack.
The four of us could go see a show, Ross, have dinner, go out. Wouldn't you so enjoy a night on the town?
That was just terrific, Jack, terrific. Everyone's so glad to have you back.
Seems like the kids are excited.
Why wouldn't they be? Stan and Jack together again.
Jack, let's go.
This is the start of a new era for us. We were a great team. We should do a project. Simon & Schuster has an offer on the table for a Silver Surfer book.
Team? You know, it's funny you say that now, but when you write your little books, it sounds like you're a one-man band.
Stan, let's not get involved with this.
Not get involved. Goodman's houseboy here never gets involved. Otherwise, he might have grown a backbone and given me my artwork back. He might have spoken up when they made me sign away all my characters just to put food on the table.
Jack, I don't own any of these characters either. I don't own a thing. I've got nothing to do with the art. That's company policy. Talk to Kate.
Oh, but you're the face of Marvel Comics.
I got kids telling me about a warehouse full of my pages, and some schmuck telling them to tear them up or burn them as some sort of loyalty test.
Johnny, I just don't understand.
These people are ungrateful.
I'm sorry,
what?
Now let it go, Ross.
Oh, do you know anything about anything, you terrible woman? My Kirby was a king when Stanley was cleaning out pencil sharpeners. Your ridiculous husband has been riding Jack's coattail since 1941.
He's not. King Kirby? It was my Stan who came up with that.
Oh, Ross, please. Ross.
I will wait in the car.
Joni just looks out for me, Roz. Surely you understand that. Jack, I am really happy that you're back with us. You belong at Marvel. I'll do what you want. Stay out of your way. If I can do anything about the art, I will.
His ego takes up so much room in that heart of his. I don't know how he has room to breathe.
Love that. That is who, if I could do the accent, if I could act, that is who I want to be as Roz. She is just amazing.
Yes.
I love her. I love the whole the behind the scenes with them was so volatile and so weird because of their egos and or lack of at different times, going through that. It's like Stanley, you almost wonder, like, was he that way or was he forced to be that way because he was cousin once removed or whatever. It's like, oh, this is nephew. No, like, did he build himself up just so he could exist, or was it because of his wife and everything she expected from him? There were so many things that built into his ego that you almost don't know if he really was just that stuck up or just that absent-minded, as to where, like, he thought he was doing good by people, maybe not the best by people at some of the times, but he's this man who lived through everything and went through so much, and the relationship between the two of them was just, it's amazing. You guys probably know a bit about it. I will let you go because you actually did all the research and came up with the play. It was beautiful.
I think that one of the things, this is what I'm going to say. First of all, I just want to say that cast was Brian Bro as Stan Lee, was Brian Ploharchuk as Jack Kirby, who both of them are phenomenal. And then Carrie Harden was playing Roz, and Kate Black Spence was playing Joan. I could talk for an hour about this relationship, all of these characters. I think obviously every time I came into one of these stories, I was looking for a new angle. And with this, I realized pretty early on that I think both of these couples are perfect. Like, they're perfect for each other. They both complement each other and they both hold each other up. And the Stan and Jack relationship, I think, is so complicated. And there's so many people, and whenever I'm on a comic book podcast or anything like this, there's a lot of deep feelings about this stuff. I think that a lot of people want to believe what they want to believe. And for me, I have always thought no one knows what happened in those story meetings between the two of them. No one knows how they worked together except for them, and they're both gone now. And neither one of them had very good memories. I think that Stan was just hardwired to try to be a social climber, and so was Joan. They both wanted to be, at the top of the social scale. Jack was just wanting to make a living, and he wanted to create what he wanted to create. And the thing that I do truly believe is that none of what we know of as Marvel Comics would exist without both of them. And I think that you get into these big arguments, and you see these big arguments happen where they try to claim that, oh no, it was this guy or it was that guy. It was the two of them together. And I try during the course of the whole show to make the case that it was both of them. Like in that scene in particular, I think, Jack, what happened with Jack's artwork was unconscionable, and it was totally inappropriate. I do believe that I do believe that that was just company policy, and you always have to remember that Stan really wasn't running that company until well into the 70s. It was his uncle, cousin, whatever, Martin Goodman, who was running that company and setting the policy. Stan was just running editorial. And that's a very long-winded answer. I think I find it very hard to, and I tried very hard in this play to make them both complicated people, because I think that it's absolutely what you said. It is about their egos. And part of the arc of what I did over the 3 is that, you know, in Mark of Cain, you have 2 guys creating something that they didn't think was going to be worth anything.
Mm-hmm.
And it's at this point with Marvel that suddenly people started to see, oh, wait, this is worth something. And I think that that's when people started to really try to hack out their ownership of stuff, you know? And I don't know. I think the hardest part about writing that play is that, like I said, I tried to be very balanced.
Mm-hmm.
It is very hard to find anybody who has anything less than a hyographic or a hero-esque version of Jack Kirby. You can find all sorts of stuff about Stan's Feet of Clay, and I'm sure most of it has basis in reality. But I also think that Stan was not intentionally trying to hurt anybody. I think Stan was a company man. I think that he saw all of that material as owned by the company because that's just the way it was.
Mm-hmm.
And in that scene, I think the specific line that really cements Stan's point of view on all of this is like, I don't own any of this, you know? I think of, you know, Origins of Marvel Comics, that book is the moment of greatest sin by Stan Lee, because, and I don't even think he was thinking about, I think he was thinking about what the company needed. And the company needed to have this mythology about how everything was created. And the way he refers to Jack and Steve Ditko in that book is hard to stomach. And it's not even like, it's the sin of omission. It's not like he's saying something bad about either one of those guys. In fact, he praises both of them, but it's the sin of the omission. So I love both of those men. I love them dearly. But I also see both their faults.
And
there's a very long-winded answer. I apologize.
oh no, that's fine. Okay, my mother is a big fan of the Marvel movies, right?
Mm-hmm.
Only experience with comic books that she has. I have
Mm-hmm.
tried repeatedly to get her to read comics, and she, like, even the ones that I'm like, you like the movie? No, I don't want to read a comic book. I actually did get her started on one, and I don't remember the name of it, but it's about cooking. And because she told me, and she had me from a very young age read, like, I read the Chronicles of Narnia when I was 5. I read The Hobbit when I was 8. I read The Exorcist when I was 10, which was probably not a good idea. But, you know, I had all these things, so I was reading all the time. But she doesn't read, she reads cookbooks. So this one book that I got her was about cooking techniques and has recipes and stuff in it. So that's the only comic book I've gotten her to read. But she knows who Stan Lee is because he
Mhm.
was in every one of those movies, pretty much.
Right.
And so then when she's asking about, like, okay, so now the DC thing's starting, and she's like, I don't like those heroes as much, you know, because there's no Robert Downey Jr. who's like the hottie, you know, and this guy and in the newer stuff. And she's like, who's this James Gunn guy? I'm like, okay, he is absolutely not at all the same person, but think of him currently as you would Stan Lee when it comes to Marvel. Like,
Mhm.
they have nothing in common whatsoever, but in
Right.
your brain, that's exactly what they are right now, because now
Right.
James Gunn is in charge of the DC universe, and he was actually doing. She really liked Guardians, so I'm like, he directed the Guardians, but now he's doing it all for Marvel, kind of like how Stan Lee had set up a bunch of, or now he's doing it all for DC versus Marvel. But like, but she wouldn't know who Kirby was if I, threw 100 comic books in front of her. She'd just be like, I don't care. And that's kind of her thing. But he's the one who people know. He lived long enough, and even in our splash pages, like a lot of our videos end with Excelsior, and True Believers and stuff.
Well,
and
I think that Stan, 100%. I think Stan's greatest sin, really, is that he outlived everybody. With the exception of Ditko. And I think that, people like to, I can talk about Stan Lee forever, but like people like to pit Ditko and Stan against each other. But, I always looked at, there was that period where, and it continues, where the Kirby estate and Jack suggested that Jack had really come up with Spider-Man. And I don't know if you've ever seen Ditko's response to that.
No, I haven't actually. Do you?
He writes out, Ditko's sort of like.
Matt needs to leave. He wanted to say good night. So focus on your newscasts. Do good. We will be here online forever. You can catch it. Thank you for showing up.
Hi, Matt. But Ditko basically, he did this drawing where it was like a drawing of Spider-Man as he drew him, a drawing of Captain America, and then a drawing of what he said was Kirby's version of Spider-Man, which looked a lot like Captain America with a web gun. And in that document, he says, Spider-Man was created by two men, Steve Ditko and Stan Lee. So, I mean, even Ditko, with his very rigid view of the world, when he was asked, said that Stan was the co-creator. I think that it is very unfair to say that Stan did nothing. I think that it is fair to say that a lot of the ideas came from Jack. I think that you can go through those books, and I kind of do it in the show when they're going through and we see the little scenes where they're creating each one of the books. Mm-hmm. You see the ones that come from Stan. You see the ones that, the germ of the idea comes from Stan. You see the ones where, like when I think about Thor, that is a Jack Kirby book, 100%, right? And, I think that, see, I'm going to get myself into trouble because I'm going to start saying things and people are going to be like, oh, Jack. But like there's a lot of people make a lot of noise about the challenges, the unknown, and the similarity to the Fantastic Four. And I think there's absolutely a similarity there. It's absolutely clear that there's a connection between those two ideas. But the thing is that when we started rehearsals for the show, I sort of functioned as a dramaturg. So I was giving the cast a lot of information about comic history and all of these things. And I literally said, all right, I'm going to tell you about the challenges of the unknown so that you don't have to read it, because I find that book almost unreadable. I think that it's four guys who have no distinctive characteristics other than their hair color. And I think that when I think about that book and I think about how it is very similar to the Fantastic Four, but then the things that are very different and that make the Fantastic Four unique and exciting and universal, that has to have been something that was processed through that Kirby and Lee dynamic to get us where we were. And like, I look back at Jack's stuff prior to the Fantastic Four. I don't see any characters I see characters that are sort of like Ben Grimm, but not specifically in that way. There's like the tough Brooklyn kid from the Lower East, or, the tough kid from the Lower East Side, but there's not the monster, the pure heart within the monster kind of thing. And in the show, when he goes over to DC and he does the Fourth World and those things, you know, there's right now I'm actually I'm on another podcast called the 22 Panels podcast. I'm on two book clubs. We do like pulp fiction inspired comics, and also we're doing a month by month read through of the Jack Kirby Fourth World books.
Oh, nice.
It's very clear as you read those what Stan brings to the equation. So wow, that was long-winded. I apologize.
No. That's why you're here. We're about storytelling. You're telling your story of how you wrote this story. So but I noticed, yeah, and it's something that I don't know. Golden Age is really far past what I started collecting in like the 90s. Danny Ketch Ghost Rider was my first comic. I was
Okay.
just like all about that. And then I started and that was right when Vertigo was coming out and doing a bunch of stuff. And so I got into like Sandman and everything like that. And I started picking up other comics here and there. I got into the X-Men. I got into all these different things. I was grabbing them and trying stuff out. I was too late to start on Spawn because at that point I was trying to think like a collector. And I'm like, okay, it's issue 13 or so of Spawn by the time I noticed it existed. And that terrible place I was telling you about before and it was like he'd marked them all up like huge. So it was like, well, I can't afford to start on Spawn now. But I could have if I had any other comic book store in the entire world to go to, except for that guy. But yeah, but reading back on or looking back on that and knowing, because I've seen other people, everybody, I know enough comic book people that I know about it, and I have read some of it. But Kirby's insistence that he wanted to write and that he, and people being like, okay, and there is the point. There's the a good artist does tell half the story with how
Absolutely.
I mean, and in people like Phil Hester's case, for example, writing entirely silent comics, that's being able to do something like that is incredible. And they've gone in and, a lot of people are just like, oh, I just draw what I'm told. And it's like, no, you have to contribute. You have to be transliterative. You are part of the story. But maybe you shouldn't have the words. Perhaps that's not your strong point. And that seemed to be the Kirby thing, was that he could tell a story, but he shouldn't be allowed to fill the word balloons. And it seems like that was kind of, I'm not sure, but that's what I felt from it.
Yeah, I think that that is not, I think obviously, okay, the play itself is going to be a simplified version of like it's only 2 hours. So I've got to make things tight. But there is this idea, like we do know that Kirby was filling in dialogue on the Marvel books, but then Stan was going through and making adjustments, right? And I do think I want to be very clear on this. I think the further into their run together they got, the more Jack was doing, because there's a lot of evidence to the point that Stan was like farming out a lot of jobs to other people, because he was also taking on more responsibility with the company as a whole and doing all those things. But I think so if somebody wants to talk about Fantastic Four number 98 or something, I'm not gonna argue too much about it. I'm talking about the very beginning of all of this stuff, and I think that it's very clear that Jack was contributing story ideas. I'm not going to argue that. I think that they were talking this stuff out. I think John Romita Sr. has said that he was riding in the car with them while they were talking out storylines. And I think it's just too complicated to make a hard, fast line. And what I tried to do with the show, and whether I was successful or not, that's up to the audience to decide, was to make it about the point that I try to make in that show, is that these two men both had to be there in order for those books to exist, and that both of them at various times acted out of their own egos and their own desire, their own feeling that they were doing more than the other one. And because I do think it's all about ego. So.
Oh, absolutely. And I think also the contrast, it didn't seem like Kirby realized when they went from Jack faking letters to the editor to there actually finally being letters coming in, and it was like they and Jack and Stan was no longer in charge of them, and so he thought that Stan was attacking him versus no, somebody else is in charge of that now. I have nothing to do. I might say Stan's soapbox, but it's not me anymore, and I'm not the one picking these. I'll do my best to fix that for you. But yeah, I think they're just because he wasn't as trustworthy of a person as he thought initially. I think more blame was put on him than necessarily should have been. It was like, here's a misunderstanding, and now you've changed, but I don't know that. So
right. Well, and I also think like there's that scene in the show where, and again, I know that a lot of people here haven't seen the show, but there's a scene where a young man comes into the office looking for a young man by the name of Michael Uslan, who, if you're familiar with the Batman movies, you might know that name, comes into the Marvel offices wanting to know where the Baxter building is. And, Stan and Jack come out, and Stan's like, oh, let's give him a page of original Jack Kirby artwork. And, and Jack's like, why are you giving away? You're giving away my art. And and Stan says, yeah, I just used it to make hopefully a lifelong fan. That's our job. And I think that there was an amount of cluelessness in Stan to the idea that working for the company sometimes was unfair to the other people who were around.
Yeah.
And I think that I think that's it. I think that there's a lot of stuff that Stan just was either willfully or unconsciously unaware of. I think he really was sideswiped when Jack left. I think he loved working with Jack. I think that all those times where he was like, I really want to work with you again. I think that wasn't just about, I want to, mine you for ideas. I think he literally enjoyed those conversations with Jack and working out the stories together and doing like his crossword puzzles of putting the words in the balloons. And I think that that's all. I mean, it's the most interesting relationship in the history of comics, really, because it created so much in the industry and so much that is revered now and that is worth billions now. And the idea is they both, by their own admission, had terrible memories, and they both had totally different views of what happened. And I just think that's all fascinating. And I tried to put that sort of thing in the page, but I also wanted it like and you saw the video, like I wanted it to end on a note of acknowledgement, because there are accounts of them running into each other later in life and they were very warm to each other. And
it was a perfect ending.
Well, thanks.
There were some tearjerkers in that one too, and I was just like, wow.
Yeah. Well, thank you.
No, I think as far as like finding something to tie that all together, you guys, again, buy this, read it, get it done, perform it, do it, enjoy it. It's beautiful.
I can make you a deal on production rights if you
Right, in Owlite 247. Yeah. But no, it's a beautiful story of friendship, and like the birthday scene, that was a tearjerker one for me. Just because it's they were peopling, and sometimes you have no idea what's going on in your friend's head. You might think you do, but
Well,
when
yeah,
when you have the
one of
business
the
relationship, it makes things more complicated too. But
yeah.
yeah,
Well, like one of my favorite things is that show, Mark of Cain and House of Ideas were both directed by Terry McCabe, who was the former artistic director of City Lit Theater, and he actually retired after House of Ideas, and he was a very first generation Marvel Marching Society member. He had there's a character that wears that I belong to the Merry Marvel Marching Society button. That's his button that he got in 1963 or 4 or whatever it was.
Wow.
He his first Fantastic Four issue was number 4, which was with the Puppet Master. He described how he was very angry because the Puppet Master dies at the end of issue 4, and then they brought him back, and he was like, "That's not right. It's not fair. It's like he's dead." But he was like, these shows got produced because of him. When I was working on them and I was looking for people just to give me feedback, I sent him the first 2 plays, and he read them and he said, "Are you almost finished with the third one? Because I want to read that before I give you any thoughts." And I said, "Well, I think it's pretty close. Here, I can send you this draft." And he came back and he said, "I want to do all 3 of these." So that's how we did all 3 of them. And what he told me was that his whole career, he's been trying to put the things that he loved as a kid on stage. He loved Sherlock Holmes stories, so he did a bunch of Sherlock Holmes adaptations. He liked Westerns, so they did the Virginian. He was obsessed with the Civil War, so they did like a 5-year program of Civil War plays over the 150th anniversary of the Civil War. Anyway, but he was like, I loved comic books when I was a kid, and I never knew how to put that on stage. And he's like, and then you walked in and you dropped these on me, and I just said I wanted to do them, and that was I honor and revere Terry McCabe for that. So
that's awesome that you were
yeah.
able to bring that last stream, or one of the last streams, up for getting things going.
And the last one was the last play he's going to direct, so it's amazing.
Wow. Well,
yeah.
Awesome, Terry. Good for you. That's like, I'm glad you got this man here, this awesome guy who I'm known now for 30 years, something like that, about 30
Off
years.
and on, yeah.
A little bit. But we're coming up on the 2-hour mark, so gonna let everybody go. But if you can stay with me for a little bit, that would be great. I want to talk to you after the show, if that's okay, if you have time.
That's fine.
But
yes.
Okay. But thank you everybody for joining us, and you can go to his website. Show notes should be up above or down below, depending on where you're watching from. Maybe they're to the side. I don't know. I'm not sure about some things, but you can find them, and we'll be having another Clutch sometime soon. Good night, Friday. And Mark, do you have anything coming up that you would like to talk about, or anything you want to promote?
Anybody, my next writing and directing project right now is going to be the first show of City Lit's next season. So it'll be the fall of 2026. It's a adaptation of a Western novel. And that will be probably going up late August of next year. So if you live in Chicago, or if you want to travel to Chicago and see a Western on stage, you can see that. But that's what I'm working on right now. I've got, otherwise I'm doing some readings and stuff as an actor. So
awesome.
But that's what I've got.
And go check out his website, find all this stuff. There are links to his podcast on his website and stuff, so you can check that out as well. And for me, look up Carrie Sanders. I totally cheat and use a different name. Kari. If you see a judgmental crow on Facebook, that's me. I am judging you. It'll be, oh, where did I go? Here. This is me judging you. I just stare forever into the void of your soul. It's really fun. Brad Tosker joins me, and I'll be on Splash Pages. And this week we have a double for you. On Tuesday we have the amazing Dean Haspiel, followed by Wednesday Mark Wade, who you might have heard of at some point in time. Yeah, so that's gonna be going on this week, starting on Tuesday. So double trouble for you. And thanks, everybody. We will see you again soon. Night.
Thanks, everybody.